Welcome to week 12 of my NFL predictions. And last week in week 11, I went 12-2, putting my current record at 112-54. And the teams on the bye week are the Bengals, Bills, Falcons, Jaguars, Jets, and Saints. A lot of teams. All right, starting off on Thursday Night Football, an AFC North matchup between the Steelers and the Browns. Steelers had one last week against the Ravens, won by kicking 6 field goals, and the Browns got absolutely killed against the Saints, and the Browns just haven't had a good season. Unlike the Steelers, that they have had a good season. They've just been rolling. And their offense, despite what, you might think from last week, have been pretty good this year. And I got to pick the Steelers. As much as I feel like this would be the most Steelers game to lose, I cannot not pick them against a bad team like the Browns. Although I do think it'll be close because these teams always play each other very closely. So I'm going to pick the Steelers to win this one 23-17. All right, starting off the 1 o'clock slate, we have another divisional game between the Titans and Texans, this time AFC South. Titans got beat by the Vikings last week, and the Texans able to beat the Cowboys, which, they won by a lot, but they definitely didn't play their best game, the Texans. So Titans, they're done. They've been done since about week 7 or so. And they just don't have a quarterback. And you're not going to win in this league without a quarterback, especially against a team like the Texans, who, despite playing subpar to what, people were expecting, they're still a really good team. They still have a lot of talent on that team, which is why I got to pick the Texans in this one. The Texans win this one 20-17. Traveling up north, we got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears in our third straight divisional matchup. NFC North time. Vikings, as I literally just mentioned, beat the Titans. And the Bears, they lost on a heartbreaking missed field, or a blocked field goal rather, to their division rival Packers. And yeah, the Bears, they just haven't been that good of a team this year. I will say they did look better against the Packers, but at the same time, a blocked field goal that would have won them the game just summarizes the Bears season in a nutshell. And the Vikings, they're 8-2. I honestly think their record is better than the team, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. They are still overperforming from what I expected, or overachieving rather. And 8-2 is 8-2. You can't argue with a record. And I could see the Vikings losing this game because the Bears did play better against the Packers, but at the same time, I trust Kevin O'Connell way more than I trust Matt Eberflus. So I got to pick the Vikings to win a close one, 16-13. And traveling southeast of Chicago, we're going to yet another divisional matchup between the Cowboys and Commanders. And the Cowboys, they got punched in the mouth on Monday Night Football against the Texans. They couldn't stop Joe Mixon. And the Commanders, they lost to the Eagles on Thursday Night Football, and that was a winnable game for them, and they just couldn't pull through. So both these teams trying to get back on track, especially the Commanders. I don't think the Cowboys really care about getting back on track. They're kind of done, but the Commanders definitely need to win this game if they want to keep pace with the Eagles in hopes of winning the division, which they obviously hope to do. And this one's pretty cut and dry. I can't pick the Cowboys against a good team like the Commanders. I never ever thought I'd be saying that at the beginning of the season, by the way. The Commanders are the good team and the Cowboys are the bad team. That's actually wild that we're at this point in time. But yeah, I gotta pick the Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels will have a rebound game because the Cowboys defense is not that good. And I could also see Brian Robinson Jr. having a really good game too because the Cowboys' run defense looked really bad against Joe Mixon last week. So yeah, Commanders win 35-20. And traveling south down to Miami, we have, surprise, surprise, another divisional matchup. We got the Patriots, who lost to the Rams, taking on the Dolphins, who beat the Raiders. We'll start with the Patriots. They lost, but Drake May looked really good. And, I mean, that's really all you can ask for right now. I mean, you're not going to win many games, but if your rookie quarterback is looking good, you know, that's a sign of good things to come. So that's good for the Patriots that he looks good. And they did almost win the game, too. The Dolphins, they're able to absolutely demolish the Raiders' defense. You know, they didn't give the Raiders any signs of hope in that game just because their offense just really took off. And shout out Jonnu Smith for having probably the best game of his career. And, I can't really pick against the Dolphins in this situation. They're at home. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They have a way more talented roster. And, I mean, I got to pick them. I mean, I do think it'll be close because division matchups always tend to be close. But I do got the Dolphins in this one, 24-20. And traveling slightly north from Miami, we go up to South Carolina to talk about Chiefs at Panthers. And, I mean, I guess this is a game. It's a game that's being played, so we got to talk about it. We got the Chiefs losing their first game last week to the Bills, and the Panthers winning their second straight game in a row before their bye week this week. So they're on a 2-game winning streak, and the Chiefs are on a 1-game losing streak. So I don't know. I mean, you know, Panthers, you know, picking up some momentum. You never know. They could totally surprise some people and beat the Chiefs. As much as I would like to say that, I can't say that. The Chiefs, they're too good of a team. They just lost last week. They're definitely pissed that they lost their first game. And this is like the literal definition of a get-right game for a contending team. And I'm sorry, Panthers. I really hope you win this game, but I really don't see it happening. I got the Chiefs winning this one 41-10. Next up, we're going back up north, back to New York, or New Jersey rather, to talk about Bucks at Giants. Bucks had a bye week last week, and they're in a bit of a slump right now. They haven't won a game in quite a while. And the Giants, they lost to the Panthers in Germany last time they played. They had a bye week last week. Oh, I guess both teams had a bye week. I didn't realize that. But yeah, I think this game will be slightly more competitive than the last game I talked about, but that's just because the last game I talked about is literally like one of the best teams versus one of the worst teams. And this one, I mean, I definitely think it'll be competitive. I mean, I know Todd Bowles has a habit of allowing quarterbacks to have a shit ton of passing yards. And this is actually going to be Tommy DeVito's first start of the year because the Giants benched Daniel Jones finally. So we'll see if the Giants can pull a rabbit out of the hat, but I still got to pick the Bucs. I mean, I trust Baker Mayfield and I mean, I guess Todd Bowles more than Tommy DeVito and Brian Daboll. I mean, I honestly don't think either coaches are that good, but Baker is definitely better than Tommy DeVito, and I think that'll be enough for them to win this game. So I got the Bucs winning this one 27-22. Next up, we're going a little bit west to Indy to talk about Lions at Colts. Lions able to beat the Jags, casual 52-6 score. And the Colts able to beat the Jets by 1 point. And that was probably Anthony Richardson's best game of his career, arguably. I guess it's debatable, but I mean, I would argue his best game of his career. He didn't turn the ball over, and he led them on a game-winning drive. He didn't get tired. And I mean, yeah, that's all you can ask for a quarterback. And I mean, you know, it just sucks. They got to play a team like the Lions next up because the Colts, you know, a win like that, I mean, I know the Jets are the Jets, and they haven't been what we thought they would be. I mean, it's still good to get a win like that, especially, you know, with Anthony Richardson's struggles. That was a game where he didn't struggle, so it's good for the Colts that happened. But, I mean, honestly, I don't think anyone is beating the Lions right now. This team will literally, I think there's no team, like, I think this team could literally win the rest of their games, including, the Super Bowl. This team is that, it's that fucking good. Like, the Lions, I cannot get over how good this team is. So I'm sorry, Colts, but I cannot pick anyone to beat the Lions. It's not just you guys, like, I am not picking against the Lions until proven otherwise. I mean, that's going to be my lock of the week pretty much from here on out until they lose or something crazy happens. So yeah, Lions win 31-20 is my prediction. All right, going to the 4 o'clock slate, we have the Broncos taking on the Raiders in our next divisional matchup. We had a break for a little bit, but we obviously came back to it as we got an AFC West matchup here. Broncos, after getting their hearts ripped out 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs, they absolutely crushed the Falcons. They crushed them. And, I mean, you could see they were taking out all their frustration about losing 2 weeks ago on that game, and it was good to see. And as for the Raiders, I mean, they lost to the Dolphins last week, and they haven't looked very good. They haven't won a game since week 4, and that was against the Cleveland Browns, another team that's not very good. The only good player on the Raiders that's playing really good is Brock Bowers. I mean, Max Crosby's good too, but I mean, he's not having an insanely good season. Brock Bowers is, and he's a rookie. But I will say, I am a little worried about this game because I'm a Broncos fan, and we always struggle with the Raiders. I don't know why. We just do. And I get they're division rivals, but I mean, we've only beat them like one time in the last 6 years, it feels like, or 5, I'll say 4 years. The one time in the last 4 years, and that was last time we played them. So I would hope to get my fears extinguished in this game, and I do think they will. I think the Broncos will win 27-17. And we got to win this one to maintain pace for the 7th seed. So go get them, Broncos. Our next 4 o'clock game, it's actually our last divisional matchup this video, or this week. We have the Cardinals taking on the Seahawks. The Cardinals had a bye week last week, and they're rolling. They're just killing it. And the Seahawks, they were able to get a last-second victory against the 49ers last week. So, both these teams carrying some momentum. I mean, the Cardinals a lot more than the Seahawks, but, I mean, you get the point. I mean, both teams coming off of wins, and, it's a division matchup, so it'll definitely be a really good game. And I honestly do think the Seahawks are a more talented team, and they are at home, and I know that could be problematic for the Cardinals, but, the Cardinals, they had a bye week, so they've had time to rest up and get healthier, and they've been playing really well. I've already mentioned that 1,000 times, it feels like. So I'm actually going to pick the Cardinals to win this one. I'm going to pick them to win with a score of 26-23. Our last 4 o'clock game is going to be up in, Wisconsin to talk about 49ers Packers. I always forget that they're in Wisconsin, of all places. 49ers, as I just mentioned, lost to the Seahawks on a last-second touchdown by the Seahawks, and the Packers winning on a last-second blocked field goal, which is just insane that that's happened 2 weeks in a row, but that's the NFL for you. Will happen 3 times, I still have to see. And despite the Packers winning, that game caused a lot of concerns. Their defense sucks. They let a Bears team that, to be fair, they have a lot of talent on that team, but they have been struggling all year, the Bears, with offense, and the Packers just let Caleb Williams have one of the best games of his career. And, the fact that you barely beat a team, and it took a blocked field goal to win against a not great team, because the Bears aren't that good of a team, it's concerning, I'll say that. And I have some concerns with the 49ers too, but I feel like the 49ers, they're going to have more of a chip on their shoulder because they definitely need this win more than the Packers do. And I think I do trust Kyle Shanahan more than Matt LaFleur by a hair. It's close because they're both good coaches, and both quarterbacks are good quarterbacks. So this will be a good game, but at the same time, I got to pick the 49ers here. I'm going to pick them to win 21-18. And on Sunday night, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles able to beat the Commanders on Thursday Night Football in a not so pretty game, but wins are always pretty. And the Rams able to essentially do the same thing against the Patriots on Sunday. Get a not pretty win, but a pretty result. And this should be a good game. Both these teams have really good offenses and not great defenses. And honestly, you could pick either team here. I feel like with the Eagles, they're more talented, but their coach is worse. But the Rams, they're less talented, but their coach is better. So, like, what do you trust more, the talent or the coaching? And normally I'd say coaching because the Rams, they're at home and they need this win. But I just feel like the Eagles, they're so talented. They're insanely talented. It's actually insane. And Jalen Hurts has been playing really well, too. And, this could be the game where they start to slow down, but I don't see it. I think the Eagles will win this game. I definitely don't think it'll be pretty because a lot of the wins the Eagles have not been pretty. And I could see him slipping up a few times, but when you're the Eagles, you can afford to slip up a few times. I'm going to pick the Eagles 20-14. And ending, we got Monday night, we got the horrible, we got potential game of the week, whatever the hell you want to call it. We got the Ravens taking on the Chargers. Ravens losing to the Steelers last week despite not allowing a touchdown, but they allowed 6 field goals, and the Ravens' dynamic offense couldn't muster 19 points to beat the Steelers, so that's a little concerning. Not surprising, because they always struggle against the Steelers. And the Chargers, they almost blew the game on Sunday Night Football. They were up by 21 points or something, and they let the Bengals tie the game. And they got lucky. I'm not going to lie. They got super lucky in that game. They probably should not have won, but they did because the Bengals also were messing up a lot in that game, and they just messed up less. I'll put it that way. But I do think this will be a high-scoring game. The Ravens are definitely going to be looking to get a get-right game. And they're also not playing the Steelers, and I feel like that's the one team that can stop the Ravens is the Steelers. And since they're literally not playing that one team that can stop them, I do think the Ravens will win this one. I think they'll score a lot of points. I also think the Chargers will score a lot of points. I see both teams putting up 30 points at least. I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this one with a score of 38-30. And that's going to do it for this video. Here's all the score predictions listed if you want to take a look at them. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.